Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. I have a repeat guest today. Amber, welcome back.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. We were just talking, I think it's been like a full year since I've been on the podcast.
Which is crazy because then I realized, like, oh my gosh, I'm wearing exactly the same clothes that I wore the last time I interviewed you.
That's totally fine. That's sustainability. It's like capsule wardrobe.
It totally is. It totally is. For anyone who hasn't heard that episode or hasn't followed you or found you anywhere on the internet yet, can you tell us who you are, what you do, who you help, and how you help?
Yes. So my name is Amber Romero, and I am the owner of A Creative Co. I am a content strategist for social media managers, content creators, and small business owners. So I basically go in and help with overall social media content strategy for any of those people that I just listed. And yeah, I absolutely, I've really found my niche on like TikTok and Instagram and things like that. So that's where you guys can find me.
Same. That's how you and I originally connected. I loved your TikTok stuff, especially how much you loved Canva, because I also loved Canva.
Yes. Yeah, we bonded over that.
We totally did at the beginning. But kind of take us back even a year ago to now, because what's happened? You've done a lot of stuff. I've seen you through TikTok and Instagram and even over email set some really clear boundaries. We love a boundary to set some pivots coming up. Tell us kind of what's happened in the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to kind of rewind, I started A Creative Co. almost 4 years ago now. And it first started, I was freelancing, had a couple social media clients, really took this brand to the next level. And during the pandemic, when it first started in 2020, all of us kind of went crazy as small business owners. And I was very fortunate, and I understand my privilege in this, that my business grew so fast during the pandemic because everybody had to shift online. And so they needed that additional support. I ran a social media agency at the time. And so I started bringing on so many clients and employees and contractors to try and help me manage all of that. And it got to a point I really grew this business that was always my dream. And I was absolutely miserable. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. And I quickly realized that just things going on in my life, going on in my business, that I basically had to shift everything because I just wasn't happy with the work that I was doing, with how I was doing it, and it just wasn't sustainable. So I ended up at the later half of last year, slowly started weaning out my clients, and I started passing off to friends and some of my students that are part of my membership and things like that. And I was just like, all right, now is going to be the time. I really started to shift into more of that. I hate this word, but for lack of a better term, thought leader. I'm really starting to shift into that in the education and speaking. And I've really, really found a passion there. I don't want to consider myself a coach just yet because that's not quite part of the business, but really shifted my business away from that one-on-one service model into more digital product, a little bit of consultation and strategy here, but really focusing on the education side of things. So I've absolutely loved that transition. It's been so fun. But that's where I am today and getting ready to really take this business to the next level in that aspect as well.
Oh my gosh. One of the most asked questions in my Facebook group is, how do you quit a client? I have this as well. We're going through a huge pivot. I wrote a blog post about it in 2017 that I still share with people to this day about how to quit the client before they quit you if you're going to be changing your services. Yes. So when you were kind of cleaning house and basically saying, all right, we got to start over. Let's clean this slate. I need my time back. I need you to be better serviced by other people. Like, I got to reconsider. How did you approach that conversation with your clients?
Yeah, so it's a tough one. It's never easy. And the best way to go about it is to give them a little precursor, a little warning, like, hey, I'm making some big shifts in my business, whether you do this through email, Slack, whatever your preferred method is. Like, hey, I'd love to get a call booked, whether this is brought up monthly, however you handle with your clients. But I always suggest doing a Zoom or a phone call to really get your point across. And for me, it was, I had that little like, hey, we need to chat kind of email. And then we started talking about it. And it was more so a perspective of, I can no longer serve you at the capacity that I believe you need. And it's not fair, because it's the truth. I was like, it's not fair to my client to say, I'm not loving what I'm doing anymore. So it's genuinely a disservice to them. And I just couldn't do that to them anymore. And I positioned it in that way, number one, because it's the truth. And number two, that is just, it was kind of a softer blow rather than I'm just ditching this. Goodbye. See you later. So that is the way that I approached it. And every single client was understanding. And because I also gave them some kind of transition plan, an offboarding
Yes.
plan. Like, hey, I'm going to serve you for the next 3 months. I will make sure all your assets are delivered. I will help you find somebody else should you want my help, things like that. So I made the transition easy on them. And it was, all of my clients were very, very understanding. Some of them were like, hey, this is even mutually beneficial. We're looking to go a different route anyways. And it just seemed like the perfect timing for me and for them. So it worked out for the best. No stressful, no unhappy clients.
Good. And it
Yes.
is kind of the natural evolution of business. Like,
Yeah.
I always think about this too. You're not going to have the same friend that you've always had for everything, for all things, to do all the things with since like kindergarten. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of grow together and then you grow apart and then you grow back together and you grow apart. But that's kind of natural. But if you're honest and transparent and helpful in that
Yes.
transition, then there should be no bad blood between anybody, right?
Exactly. 100%. And it's like I still cheer those clients on, and I will
Totally.
comment on their stuff and chat with them in the DMs, or even some of them. I had a client who's a little bit more local to me. Her and I will go grab lunch, so it's like
Mhm.
there's no bad blood, like you said. So it's been an easy transition, but I know it's not always easy.
Exactly. So now your brand is doing a shift. You're going
Yes.
from what you said was primarily service-based work and some digital products to more heavily digital products. Talk to
Yeah.
us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, yeah, I was doing that one-on-one service model for a very, very long time. And basically it was the end of 2020 that I launched the Creative Content Lab, which was my membership for social media managers. I was basically teaching them how to run a social media agency. And I absolutely loved that. And I was like, this is great. I need to learn how to do more of this.
Mhm.
So now I'm starting to shift my business into obviously growing that membership. That membership is still around, but also saying, okay, how can I provide the level of service that I was doing one-on-one in maybe a DIY format or a done with you format, and figuring out ways that I can serve a broader audience and also no longer trade my time for dollars. That's just where I'm at in my business, in my career. I've been doing marketing for 10 years, and the done for you, it's wearing on these bones a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm getting tired of it, kind of thing. Believe me, I still love a couple one-on-ones, consultation type stuff, but the day in, day out, it's just too much now. And so I'm definitely taking that pivot into workshops, memberships, courses, things like that, to be able to serve a broader audience, which is my overall goal as a business owner and as a person.
And you've done this in such a smart way because now you have an existing audience. I
Yes.
think it's almost harder to go straight to market with a ton of products because you don't have a demand. So it's
Yeah.
so funny because I actually just got an email from someone. I was part of this conference in San Diego called Fuck Up Nights. Have you heard
Oh,
this?
yeah. I haven't heard it,
Okay.
but that's amazing.
So Fuck Up Nights is you have to tell a story of something that you fucked up.
Yeah.
And basically there has to be a learning lesson, and then you basically wrap the whole thing with, and now I'm doing XYZ. So when I went to Bali, actually, was when I pitched the co-working space Dojo on, you guys should host a fuck up night because it's like
Yeah.
this whole structure. And it's super impressive to hear, oh, I started this company and I got all this funding and I'm this startup and that startup. Like, yeah, that's super motivating. But like, I learn more from people who made huge mistakes.
Yes.
So mine was in 2017 with two friends of mine. We wrote a small business startup guide. That was 3 chapters. It was like planning, legal, and branding. So obviously I wrote the branding part, and we priced it at like $127.
Mhm.
Okay. We spent like 8 months writing it. We paid an editor. We paid for a photo shoot. And then we launched and we sold 0.
Yeah.
Literally
Yep. That
0.
hurts.
We stuck around long enough. We did one as a giveaway. We stuck around long enough to break even basically on our initial investment. And then I basically had to say, like, I don't want to do this with you guys. Like, I was doing so much work as well because as the branding and marketing person, like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, everybody writes a third of the book. But
But
then
then
like,
you had to promote it, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, I cannot be doing this. Like, this is such an energy suck to split 33 and a third of the profit. So it was crazy because that was like my big thing is I was so brainwashed to think like digital product, blah, 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 blah. But like there wasn't a need yet.
Yeah.
Not to say that the information wasn't good. The information was super
Yeah.
valid, but
Exactly.
there was no audience. So talk about that. You've got an audience now. How do you feel like that's going to change how you launch things in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So even with an audience the size that I have, a lot of people think, okay, you can just put something out there and people are going to buy it. And that's still not the case. Like, yes, the audience does help, but I'm going to be honest, I just did a recent like relaunch, like kind of a, let's get some more members into the Creative Content Lab. Traditionally, Instagram and TikTok would have brought in a lot more for me. But this time it was email marketing. So it's like just using those different components. You can't just go out and launch something.
Mm-hmm.
And, now my approach, for instance, I do have a content system course that's going to be coming out later this year. I'm going to test it out with paid workshops first
Yep.
and see if those paid workshops even catch interest. And it'll also help me shape that curriculum. So I'm not doing like a free masterclass. I might do like a $27 workshop. I know you've done some workshops as well. And that can really gear my course in a way that I know people are going to buy it. And I know I'm giving them the information and the value that they so want, rather than just injecting what I think is really cool, and just trying to sell
Yes.
myself on that. So that's going to be my approach moving forward as well. It's just either doing some kind of paid workshop or some kind of beta program to still make sure that, I could sell to my TikTok audience, or my combined TikTok and Instagram audience is around 200,000 people.
Right.
And everybody's like, that's such a big number. And I'm like, well, when it comes to converting, I still need to make sure that I have something that they want to buy. Otherwise, there's no point.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this paradox of someone may enjoy your content, but never make it through your funnel.
Yeah, very, very
Right?
true.
Like they may very, very, very much enjoy your content, but they are not in the position to buy. And it's about that long-term nurture. It's the same thing with me in my workshops. I make workshops based on what people consistently ask me questions about.
Exactly.
So I've got the Facebook group, I've got my social, I've got my business that I'm running. And if I find that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people have all asked me the same thing, how do you do XYZ? Be like, okay, I should just make this a workshop. But my whole thing is like, how do the workshops evolve into some kind of membership situation?
Yes,
Because if someone bought a workshop and they were blown away by the quality of the workshop, they're a much easier sell than to someone who's never heard of me before.
100%. And the good thing about doing these workshops, or however you want to present this information, do your market research, things like that, now you have testimonials for a course that you've never created yet because they've gone through some sort of process with you. So I would love to do a couple quick mini workshops, again, sell them for low ticket offers, see how people like them, see what transformation they're getting, and then use that in my marketing for a much more expensive course later on down the road. So not only am I building that social proof, yes, I'm going to have somebody that's going to be easier to sell to, but then I can also sell to that cold audience as well, even if they didn't purchase that workshop, because I have such valuable information and testimonials and things like that as well.